So around 8 months ago, I posted this video on the main channel, ranking all 35 outside of battle abilities in Pokémon, and it went over really well. It was one of my most viewed videos, but I'm gonna be honest, I totally rushed this video, and I made a lot of mistakes, as I corrected here in the pinned comment, and because of that, I want to re-rank this as kind of a revised ranking. So first, let's just start with the criteria, because there are a few things that I want to address that I'm going to be changing from that. So the main thing here is the first line, mostly basing off the game that the effect was at its best. I don't really think that this is a fair metric, because some ability effects they had one effect in one game, and then were changed immediately after that because they were too strong, and then that was their effect for the rest of the games that they're in. I'm mainly talking about pickup here, by the way, but this does also affect some other abilities. So instead of ranking them like that, I want to rank them now more like the effect that they had the longest, that was in the most amount of games. And I think this is a lot more fair, and it will skew things a little bit less in the favor of things like pickup and things like that. And like the last re-ranking that I did, I'm going to be doing this in an ordered tier list. So let me move over to that. Okay, so here we are in our tier list. I have all the icons here. I just put some Pokemon that get the ability as just like a icon, because I want to put something there instead of just the name. And I'm gonna kind of be rewriting these tiers like this. Okay, so here are the 4 tiers here: very useful, useful, somewhat useful, and no use. So let's go in. I'm going to be going in order of the order that I went last time, except for one that I forgot, which is Lightning Rod. So Lightning Rod was actually included with, what was it, rank 6. Flashfire, Harvest, Lightning Rod, Static, Magnet Pull, and Storm Drain were all ranked together because they had the same effect. I'll get to that in a second, or probably not in a second, and once I get to those abilities. But Lightning Rod also has a separate unique effect. And I have Bulbapedia opened up here on a separate screen, which was, let me read it out here. In Pokemon Emerald, trainers registered with the Pokénav's match call function will call twice as often if a Pokemon with Lightning Rod is in the first place in the party. So because of that, this is probably the worst one yet. I only play a little bit of Emerald because my Emerald cartridge broke or something. So I'm not too familiar with this function here, but from what I've done, from some of the research that I did, this is pretty much useless, and maybe even worse than useless. So I think last place for Lightning Rod, for the Gen 3 Emerald effect of Lightning Rod, is where it belongs. So that was the only one that I missed. The rest, I think I had the rest of them. And let's see, the next one is Arena Trap. This one is also grouped together with Illuminate and No Guard. Let's pull up the use here. From Pokemon Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Arena Trap is in the first place in the party, even if fainted, the wild Pokemon encounter rate of all Pokemon is doubled. So I originally had this as the last place because I was only looking at it as a negative effect. You know, you're running through a cave, or Victory Road or something like that, and you don't want to run into Pokemon. This doubles your chance to run into Pokemon, therefore it's bad. However, if that's the case, just don't put that Pokemon in the first party slot. There are many times where this is actually quite beneficial, like when a Pokemon is a rare encounter rate, or just there's low encounter rates in general and you want to encounter it. So because of that, this is actually a very good use. I'm debating between very useful and useful. I'm going to put it in useful for now. I might change it later, but this is a really good effect. I don't know. It's close. I'm going to put it here for now. I might change it later, but we will see. But yeah, I definitely underrated this. I put it in last place. It definitely does not deserve last place. Okay, next is Immunity. Let's see here. Pokemon with this ability can't take damage from poison outside of battle. So yeah, this one it's no use, because the inside of battle effect of this ability is that you can't even get poisoned in the first place. So this is hardly ever gonna come up. And yeah, I think it was at I forgot which gens it had, 1 through 4 maybe. When you take a step and your Pokemon is poisoned, they'll take damage. Immunity just prevents that, but again, immunity prevents you from getting poisoned in the first place. So you generally have to try to get your Pokemon poisoned in order for this ability effect, the outside of battle effect, to actually happen. So yeah, this has no use. Next one is Swarm. So let's see here. In Pokemon Emerald, if the first Pokemon in the player's party has this ability, the frequency of cries of wild Pokemon that are heard in the overworld is increased. This one, I cannot see... I cannot justify putting it in somewhat useful. It's no use. Like, when would you ever practically use this? It's a fun, like, Easter egg, but as an actual use, no, come on. Okay, next one is Hyper Cutter. So Hyper Cutter, let's see, in Pokemon Emerald, if a Pokemon with Hyper Cutter uses Cut in the overworld, it will cut down all tall grass within a 2 square radius of the player's position, as opposed to a 1 square radius. So this is, I definitely don't think it's no use, but it's such a little use that it just barely sneaks its way out of no use, I feel like. Because, I mean, cutting the grass faster could be good if you want to, like, avoid encounters, but that's kind of about it. Okay, next is Serene Grace. Serene Grace is actually going to be appearing on here twice because it has 2 effects. One of them that is the same as Super Luck, and one of them that is the same as... No, I lied. Super Luck is the one that's the same. So Serene Grace and Super Luck have the effect of... Let me check here. In Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver only, if a Pokemon with Serene Grace breaks a rock and finds an item, the game will instead pick up the item below it in the game's list, unless it was a 5% item. So this basically just makes it so that you get an increased chance of getting rare drops from breaking a rock, which I think is going to go into somewhat useful. It's not, is it? It's kind of between these two. I'll put it here. I might change it later. It's not amazing, but I mean, it's something. Okay, next is Honey Gather. So Honey Gather, let's see here. A Pokemon with Honey Gather may collect honey after a battle if it is not already holding a held item similar to Pickup. The chance for a Pokemon with Honey Gather to pick up honey depends on its level. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So honey is just not that useful of an item. I have that Wikipedia or Bulbapedia page opened up as well. When using tall grass, caves, or while surfing, honey triggers a wild Pokemon battle, like Sweet Scent as a field move. Horde encounters, that, and then see. In BDSP, honey can be used to trigger wild Pokemon in tall grass or caves, and can be slathered on honey trees in order to attract wild Pokemon. So getting more honey is okay, I guess. I'm going to put it in, I think it's, yeah, probably around here, useful. If honey were more of a useful item, then this would be better, but it's not super useful. It does have its applications for sure, but yeah, I think right here is where it belongs. Next one is Sandville. This one is shared, by the way, with Snow Cloak. So let's see. From Pokemon Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Sandville is in the first place in the party, even if fainted, in an area with a sandstorm, the chance of encountering a wild Pokemon is decreased by 50%. So this one is, and then for obviously for what's it called? Snow Cloak, it's just hail instead of snow, or hail instead of sand. Snow doesn't exist yet. This one, I think, is it worse than Honey Gather? I'm debating between bottom here or top of here. Let's go ahead and put it in bottom of, yeah, or top of somewhat useful. The condition of needing to be in a sandstorm or hailstorm in the overworld is kind of knocks it down a tier. So I think this is probably where it belongs. Okay, next one is Ball Fetch. This is one of the exceptions I'm making because I know that it is used in battle, but it's only usable during a wild battle. So it has no use during a trainer battle or with like a PvP battle. So I feel like it should still have a place on this list. And here is its effect. At any time after the first Pokeball is thrown and fails to catch a Pokemon, at the end of the turn, if a Pokemon with Ball Fetch is on the field and not holding another item, it will pick up the same type of ball as the first one thrown. This can only occur once in a battle. So if you want to like conserve your like rare Pokeball uses like Beast Ball and Level Ball and things like that. It could be useful. But that's about it. I'm gonna put it in somewhat useful. Yeah, I think that's probably where it belongs. Okay, next one is Hustle. This one is going to be shared with Pressure and Vital Spirit, by the way. So this one's effect is, let's see here. From Pokemon Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Hustle is in the first slot in the party, there's a 50% chance that a Pokemon will be forced to the upper bound of their encounter level range. So getting higher level encounters could be good for level grinding, or if you want to like just catch a higher level Pokemon. Is it in the useful tier? Is it more useful than... I don't think it's more useful than Honey Gather. I'm thinking more like here, actually. Ball Fetch is probably a bit better. I don't know. This is tough. Because they're very different uses. I'm going to put it in right here for now. I might change it later. Okay, next one is Runaway. This is another one that I know technically it is not used outside of battle. It's used in battle, but only during a wild battle. So I definitely feel like it still belongs on this list. So this one enables a sure getaway from a wild Pokemon, which I think is, in a playthrough, it is a very good use. Is it in very useful, though? I think maybe. I'm going to put it in top of useful, and then we'll see about later. I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that'll change later, but I don't know if I actually will. But Runaway is pretty good. Okay, so the next one is Sticky Hold. And this one is shared, by the way, with, Suction Cups. So Sticky Hold and Suction Cups. And these abilities, let's see what they do. From Pokemon Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Sticky Hold is in the first place in the party, even if fainted, bites will occur more often while fishing. So this is another one similar to the Arena Trap abilities. It increases encounter rates, which for fishing is always going to be a good thing because you're always intentionally fishing. You don't just accidentally throw out a fishing rod when you're next to water. So because of that, I think it's going to be definitely in the useful tier. And in the video, I did say that Bulbapedia doesn't have the rates that they increase by. It actually does on a different page, which is the fishing page. And I think I'm kind of looking at it now. This is actually a really good ability. It increases it from, in Gen 3, it's like 50% to 92%. In Gen 4, it's like, depends on the type of rod, but it can go from like 25 to 50, and then 50 to 100, 75 to 100. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really good ability. I think let's put it here for now. Let's see, next is Intimidate. This one is shared with Keen Eye, by the way. So Intimidate and Keen Eye, let's see what they do. From Pokemon Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Intimidate is in the first place in the party, there is a 50% chance it will prevent a random wild encounter that would have occurred, blah, 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 at least 5 levels lower than the Pokemon with Intimidate. So this is kind of like, I think it's like a pseudo repel. Is it better than Sticky Hold, though? The thing about Runaway is that you are guaranteed a flee when you run into a Pokemon. Intimidate prevents you from running into that Pokemon in the first place. At least it causes a chance for you to not run into that Pokemon. So it's kind of hard to compare them. I'm going to put it, yeah, I think right here is probably pretty fair. Okay, next one is Infiltrator. This one is shared with Stench, White Smoke, and Quick Feet, by the way. If Pokemon with Infiltrator is in the first place in the party, the chances of generating a random encounter is decreased by 87.5%. That is really high decrease, which can be good if you don't want encounters. Now, is it better than Sticky Hold? I don't think so. Better than Runaway? No. I think right around here, yeah. Okay, next we have Flash Fire. And this one, like I mentioned in the, right before I started ranking these, this is shared with Harvest, Lightning Rod, Static, Magnet Pull, and Storm Drain. If Pokemon with Flash Fire is in the first place in the party, there is a 51% chance the game will force an encounter with a Fire-type Pokemon if one is possible. So I think this one is, if you're looking for a specific type, then it's pretty good. I think I might want to bump some of these up to very useful, because I think, see, Flash Fire, is it better than Sticky Hold? It might be. Better than Runaway. I think it's top of useful tier. I'm actually gonna put it in very useful because being able to isolate a specific type is pretty useful when you're doing like shiny hunting and things like that. So yeah, I think very useful is probably where it belongs. Next one is Compound Eyes, and this one is shared with Super Luck, by the way. So Compound Eyes and Super Luck, let's see. If a Pokemon with this ability leads the party, the chances of finding a wild Pokemon holding an item increases from 50% 5% to 60% 20%. And of course, there's some other varying rates. So I don't think this one is very useful. The increase isn't that much. Is it in very useful or useful? I'm going to say probably top of useful. Yeah, I think I'll put it right there for now. Okay, the next one is Cute Charm. Now, Cute Charm, let's see here. If a Pokemon with Cute Charm is in the first place in the party, there is a 66.7% chance that the game will force an encountered Pokemon to be the opposite gender to the Pokemon with Cute Charm if it can be that gender. So, this is another one that is good for forcing specific encounters. And is it better than... I think I'm going to put it in useful, though. I don't think it's as good as the Flash Fire abilities. So, probably, yeah, right here is probably where it belongs. Okay, next is Pickup. And let's see here. Pickup basically just picks up items outside of battle. I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's a lot of stuff in the Bulbapedia page. I do still think that this one is probably the third best. Yeah. And I think I will stand by putting the other two here. I'm going to read out what these two do anyway, just for, I guess, completion here. Let's see, Synchronize. Let's see, from Pokemon Emerald onward, if Pokemon synchronize the first place party, 50% chance the game will force it to have the same nature as the Pokemon in the first slot. This was absolutely necessary to be able to get the nature that you wanted on, like, legendary Pokemon, where you couldn't choose the nature, at least not yet, because we didn't have mints. And then Flame Body, this one is, I think, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that this is the best outside of battle ability in the game. Having the number of egg cycles, that is just so useful. It's like an absolute necessity to have when you're hatching eggs. So yeah, I don't think anyone will debate that this is the best one. Okay, so I'm going to make some changes here. I think Honey Gather is going to drop down to somewhat useful. I just don't think Honey is that great of a use. Because, you know, Sweet Scent can do the same thing, and in some games you can't do that though, so, but yeah, I think Honey Gather will go here. Arena Trap, I think this will go at the top of useful. I just think that that effect is pretty good. And I think that is my list. Yeah. So I guarantee there's going to be some disagreement in the comments, so please let me know where you disagree and what you would change. But other than that, I appreciate you sticking around, and I will catch you in the next one.